You're listening to The Main Event with Zach Gelb and Mike Zahn on WHIP.
Welcome back, everybody. 215-204-WHIP is our number. Make sure you download the iHeartRadio application today on your mobile devices and tablets so you can take WHIP with you on the go. I'm Zach Gelb. He is Michael Zahn. And Mike, we're getting over the fact that the Eagles are 0-1 and they went into the ultimate trap game and lost to Atlanta down there in the Georgia Dome. But I do want to ask you one quick thing. Do you know why I love Marc Farzetta?
Why is that, Zach?
The reason I love Marc Farzetta, because 2 days ago, he had single-handedly the greatest tweet on all of Twitter. And here was the tweet. Right now, Temple has the best football team in Philadelphia. Let that sink in over halftime. # Eagles. Marc Farzetta is Temple-made, and he is Temple-proud. And he also works for Sports Radio 94 WIP, and he will help us explore the 0-1 Philadelphia Eagles. Marc, great to talk to you. How are you?
Great to talk to you too, buddy.
Well, thank you for coming on. We're all pumped up. The Temple Owls are 2-0, but let's get to the second best football team in Philadelphia, and those are your Philadelphia Eagles. The one thing I really don't get from this game, and I understand they were from behind, was the fact that DeMarco Murray only had 9 carries, and I don't understand why he wasn't on the field at the end of the game when they decided to run it on 3rd and 1 and give the ball off to Ryan Matthews. You guys had Chip Kelly on the show the other day. I listened to it. Can you explain to me why DeMarco Murray wasn't more a part of the game plan on that Monday night loss?
I can't explain it simply because it's unexplainable. And when Chip Kelly tried to explain it to everybody, he talked about how Ryan Matthews and DeMarco Murray and Darren Sproles are all interchangeable parts as running backs to this team. If that's the case, if I'm Ryan Matthews, I'm getting on the phone with my agent, and I'm saying, how could you only get me a $7 million guaranteed and DeMarco Murray $21 million guaranteed? If we're interchangeable, then I should be getting the same amount of money as him. It makes no sense. You don't go out and guarantee a guy $21 million, the reigning NFL rushing champion, $21 million, and then don't use him when the game is on the line.
It was such an enigma to me when I heard Kelly on WIP the other day, and he did say that they were interchangeable. Another thing that many people are debating was that decision to kick it on 4th and 1. I didn't have a problem with that decision, but I thought they rushed it and should have burned a timeout. Did you have a problem with him sending Parkey out there for the attempt?
Yeah, I absolutely did, and even more so when it looked like they were hesitant as to what they were going to do. I mean, just looking at the game, just watching the game, the fact that they didn't have him on the field right away, they had a hesitation, it gave you some belief that they might go for it. And then it absolutely was rushed. Chip tried to say that it was 7 seconds left on the clock. It was snapped at 4 seconds. I tried making that point all day Tuesday, all day yesterday, but our boy Angelo didn't want to hear it. When they hesitated, they rushed their field goal kicker, who had already been shaky, onto the field, and he pushed it. No question. He absolutely pushed it. To me, if you do have that number one back, which you have in DeMarco Murray, that one-cut runner we heard so much about, well, then use him in that situation. Parkey had no business being in the game at that point.
And I get it. Hey, Chip Kelly, he runs out of the gun a lot. But on 3rd and 1, I still don't get why coaches in the league do this. Why do you run the ball out of shotgun on 3rd and 1? You may as well just do a quick cut-in route or a post route and just throw the football if you're going to run it on 3rd and 1 out of the gun. I just don't like that play call.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it's still a run, you know what I'm saying? And I hate that. That's how I'll try to explain it away. But you give the ball to your running back at a flat foot position. You don't have to be a football coach, a football player even, to know that that's BS. You don't get any momentum like that. If you line up under center, single back, or you try to use somebody almost like a fullback, then you get a blocker in front of him, you give the ball to him with momentum, and you get the first down. To me, I just don't understand why they wouldn't do that.
We're talking to Sports Radio 94 WIP host Marc Farzetta. And Marc, I don't want to, transition too early into what the rest of the season looks like, but at least looking to what next week looks like. The Eagles are facing the Dallas Cowboys, who are 1-0, the only team that won their first game. I know September, but are we getting ahead of ourselves that if the Eagles lose, there's cause for concern if they lose Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys?
I think that, look, Mike, I'll tell you right now, brother, there is absolutely cause for concern, and I don't want to hear people saying that it's week 2. Okay, yeah, I understand that it's week 2, and under a normal season, yeah, no, all right, fine, it's a slow start. But then that means the Dallas Cowboys 2-0 in the division, which people are forgetting actually matters. And that certainly came in handy last year for the Dallas Cowboys when they were busy beating the Eagles down the stretch. I mean, it was a close race down to the wire. Came down to the second to the last week of the season. Came down to week 16. So don't tell me that these wins and losses early on in the season don't matter. I mean, yeah, it matters in terms of or it doesn't matter in terms of that you can turn things around. But come on, down the season, as the season goes on, if it's still close, don't tell me for a second that people won't be thinking about week 2.
So even though it is only week 2, do you think that there's going to be some chemistry issues? I think in week 1, Nelson Aguilar just didn't understand the playbook completely. Maybe he wasn't on the same page as Sam Bradford. Do you think that's just more of a chemistry issue? Do you think it's, getting rid of some of the rust? What do you think the issues are on offense right now?
I think a little bit has to go with chemistry. I think chemistry definitely has to take a hit here, especially when you have a new receiver in the NFL like Aguilar. You have a new quarterback for your team like Bradford who's still learning the playbook himself. And you barely played together in the preseason. I mean, you had miscues to Zach Ertz. You had miscues to Josh Huff, who was blocking on a play where he was supposed to turn around and receive the football. So, I mean, there were definitely Miles Austin. There was another miscue there where he overthrew him a little too much. A lot of that's chemistry. A lot of that's timing. And apparently they didn't have enough practice in the preseason together in game speed. There's one thing you can do in the preseason, and you can practice game speed. Now, just like things speed up in the playoffs, things speed up during the regular season when the games really do count. But when you're trying to get timing down with a receiver, you need the practice, and I certainly think you need more than 15 throws in the preseason, especially with all the new pieces of the puzzle.
Marc Farzetta is our guest from Sports Radio 94 WIP. I want to get to the defense. We had people on the show from Atlanta who cover the Falcons on a daily basis, and they said that going into this game, you would think the Eagles' front seven would just manhandle the inexperienced and weak offensive line of the Falcons, and that didn't happen. How about that, Mark? I was just shocked that they could not get a rush on Matty Ice for the entire game.
Yeah, it was nuts, and especially because, I mean, it wasn't so much with the offensive line, and yeah, their offensive line is shoddy, but when you look at what they did with 2 tight end set, keeping a fullback in the backfield, because they're one of the few teams in the NFL that still use a fullback, and he did a great job. But they go into max protect so much. I mean, if this defensive line wants to really have that reputation as one of the best defensive lines in football, and certainly down the line last year they were, but if they want to have it throughout this year, then they need to say, to hell with max protect, we're going to get ours. And they didn't get any Monday night.
And that's a big reason why they did lose the game because, hey, say what you want about Julio Jones. We all know he's one of the best receivers in the game. It's very tough to cover him one-on-one or even when you double-team him. And the best way to cover him is to just put some hits on the quarterback and prevent Matt Ryan from throwing the football. But I want to take you to this tweet from Elliott Shore-Parks. Maxwell was targeted 11 times, giving up 10 catches for 179 yards. Bradley Fletcher never gave up more than 8 catches for 168 yards. Hashtag Eagles. I had my concerns about Maxwell. Hey, I'm not going to say they shouldn't have went out there and signed him because they needed to improve that secondary. And going into the year, you think they would have, and that did come at a hefty penny. But I wanted to see how he would transition into being that number 1 guy. And after game 1, he failed, and he just laughed to the press after the game. How concerned are you with Byron Maxwell?
I'm very concerned because I knew that when they were going to go out and sign him, if they were going to go out and sign him, that they were going to overpay because that's just what the free agent market dictated. That they were going to overpay for whoever was out there. But I didn't know they were going to overpay this much. I mean, I certainly think he's better than what he showed Monday night. But, I mean, good Lord. I mean,
it can't get any worse.
Is he as good? Is he anywhere near as good as Richard Sherman? No. Aiden? No, absolutely not. But I didn't think that the amount of money that they gave him was going to be that much and make him that much overpaid if he's going to play that poorly as a member of the Eagles.
So how truly fortunate are the Eagles moving forward that they don't have to face Dez Bryant this week and won't have to face Deshaun Jackson in a few weeks?
Extremely lucky. I mean, there's a lot of talk going into the season and a lot of talk about why you wanted to go out and at least upgrade at the corner position with a guy like Maxwell was because you're playing in the NFC East with Odell Beckham Jr., who's going to be in the division for the foreseeable future, Dez Bryant, who's going to be in the division for the foreseeable future, and not to mention an experienced guy like Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson at the same time, who you let just walk away. So you have a pretty competitive receiving group of wide receivers in the NFC East. So they needed to make a move, but like I said, I mean, at that cost is ridiculous if you don't get more from what you saw from Byron Maxwell.
Quick quickly switching gears back to offense. I know it was only one regular season game, so we also saw a couple preseason games. Is Sam Bradford everything he's been billed out to be?
It depends on who you're listening to. I mean, the jury for me is still out on Sam Bradford. I mean, okay, congratulations on a very nice preseason. You played one awful half of football, followed by a very solid half of football where you had no run support whatsoever. I know it's a term that gets used a lot in baseball when talking about pitchers, but a quarterback also needs run support, and he had no support on the ground going against the Falcons. To me, I'm still waiting to see what he's got going on as a quarterback. I mean, for all the intangibles, for as strong an arm he has, for as accurate as he can be, that's all well and good, but there's a reason why the guy's 18-31-1 as a starting quarterback. And that might show you that maybe he just doesn't have what it takes to win at the NFL level on a consistent basis. Can he put up numbers? Absolutely. But right now, I mean, in that game, I saw a lot of what I saw from Nick Foles. And from the people that are talking about Sam Bradford as if he's a second coming, I mean, Nick Foles set the bar pretty high for a quarterback to come in here. So the people that think that Sam Bradford's just going to waltz into town and all of a sudden run this offense, this Chip Kelly offense, better than anybody else, okay, well then he's got to be better than 27-2. He's got to be better as 14-4 as a starter under Chip Kelly. That's a pretty high bar.
Over under 20 carries for DeMarco Murray this Sunday.
Over under 20 carries? Over. God, I hope it's over. Even if it doesn't work in the first half. Over.
How about 25.5?
All right, now you're just crazy. No, I would like to see it at 25. Yeah, that's what I'd like. 25 is a great number for him.
Real quickly,
On
Mark.
the line.
I was sent the clip of you guys talking about the call that I had at the end of that Penn State Temple game, and I heard Angelo is donating money for people that sing the T for Temple You Fight song. So will you sing the T for Temple You Fight song with us right now?
Oh, absolutely. I'd be honored to sing the fight song of the single greatest football team in the city of Philadelphia. You know, to hell with In Chip We Trust, in Matt Rule We Trust.
There we go.
Yeah, we like to hear that.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
T for Temple U. University. Fight for the cherry and the white. For the cherry and the white. We will fight. We need to work on that cadence.
We need to work on the cadence, but hey, it will be good. Marc Farzetta.
The single worst trio doing the Temple fight song in the history of humanity.
Hey, we just got to get 2 more, and we have a new Jackson 5.
There you go. All right, sounds good.
All right, Marc Farzetta, you're the best. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
It's good talking to you guys. Take it easy.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
The great Marc Farzetta from Sports Radio 94 WIP. Joining us right there on the hotline, WHIP Radio in Philadelphia. Always love talking to Farzetta. He just brings it.
He really knows what he's talking about. He's very confident in what he's saying, and he's right. He's passionate. He understands what the Eagles need to do if they want to win, and he's just like every other person in the city. They want to see the Eagles win so there can be a party on North Broad Street.
And his singing voice, oh, God, that was just awesome. We just sang T for Temple U. It's 11:30 in the morning. That's bright and early for a college student.
It is very bright and early.
All right, we got to take a quick break here on the station. Time in the studio is 11:30, like I just said. When we get back, still to come at 11:40, it is a Wednesday, so that means one thing. It's time for the official Temple University Football Coaches Show, powered by our fine friends at Peerless Boilers. Peerless builds America's best boilers. At 11:40, we hear from Ed Foley. We'll be back.